Today, we are so excited to share a super-sized, super awesome interview where we will be joined by a very special guest, actor and cast member, babysitter, dishwasher, and all-around great guy, Keith Coogan. Thank you for joining us.
Well, good morning, guys. Hi. Thanks for having me.
We're both excited. We watched both Babysitter movies in preparation.
I love to hear that. Thank you.
Can you start off by talking a little about what initially inspired you to get into acting? Was there anyone who influenced you?
Oh, Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch. I was probably about 4 and was watching kids' TV, mostly stuff on like PBS, Electric Company, Sesame Street, those kinds of shows. And I thought the kids looked like they were having fun, especially Electric Company. They had Spider-Man on there. I was all in. And so I mentioned to my mom, I go, oh, I want to be on TV. And our family has a couple of generation history of being in the business and some issues here and there. And so my mom kind of rolled her eyes. She's like, oh God, because I really had no idea that my family had done this before. So she brought me down to LA. We were living up in Sacramento at the time, and lived, very modestly, got an agent, and really started working right away doing commercials and stuff. And I was, could read and was well behaved on the set. And I kind of understood it was an adult job, but was eager to, after starting, the family, of course, had to kind of break it to me. Your grandfather was a child actor, and so, there was a lot to live up to. Once I was 6 or 7 and not the biggest child star in the world, I didn't really have to worry about competing with, his shadow anymore. I had my own thing going. He was very supportive of that. And he was also confident that I could never break his record. So I had fun. I just had fun doing it. It's a business and a craft, but it's also, one of the funnest arts, I think, especially as an actor. Easiest job on the set, and so it's easy to pick up, and just kind of followed the career path of commercials and guest appearances and TV shows, and just work your way up your career through TV shows and guest appearances, movies of the week.
You've spoken before about being the grandson of Jackie Coogan, who of course was one of the first child stars of Hollywood and helped enact the California Child Actors Bill, or the Coogan Act. It can be easy to forget that young actors still need to be protected. Do you feel that's still important today?
It is. I think that there's 4 states that have a version of the child labor law. It's now more important than ever. I think that there's a order of magnitude more children's entertainment and children in the entertainment industry, often working in states that don't have the Coogan protection. Not to say that parents aren't looking out, but it just traditionally hasn't worked out. And it flips the whole dynamics of a household to have, an 8-year-old as the breadwinner in the house, and the parents can't really have a job. They got to go with the kid on the set. California has set this standard since 2000. All of the earnings are a child's. 15% must be put aside, and an annual accounting. Can you imagine that? A 6-year-old, and they're like, all right, so here's all your earnings and here's your expenditures. But by law, they have to do it. I'm sure they don't. I know people that got 100% of their money. I know people that owe money because their parents failed to pay the income taxes while they were minors. So they grow up, they hit 18, and they get a huge tax bill.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, super nice. And of course, they were in the entertainment industry, so there was no focus on schooling. Some never even registered for selective service, the draft, which means they can't get disability or Social Security or any of the other help. So it's you have to learn to do both. Unless you're a huge hit, great. Just don't mess it up. You have to have like a real life and an education a bit. And it helps with acting to learn as much as you can, and then be ready to go in and work when they'll have you.
You've definitely had an illustrious and varied career, with some of your more well-known roles being Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead and, of course, Adventures in Babysitting, which we will talk about later. But what some people may not know, and I'm ashamed to say I was one of those people until very recently, is that you were also the voice of young Todd in the Disney animated classic film The Fox and the Hound. That's amazing.
Yes, and the young Hound was, of course, Corey Feldman. We will always be friends forever, won't we? doing a voiceover, you don't really get to meet Pearl Bailey or Jack Albertson or your co-stars, Mickey Rooney, Kurt Russell. But you do know you're working on a Disney movie. I had never done voiceover before and had never done any after. It's so funny. I'll do a panel because of the one voice role, and people will ask, "So, as a well-known voice actor," and I'm like, "No, just the one job." But it happened to be a Disney movie that had the last of the 9 old wise men that had worked on Snow White, Pinocchio. And they were handing it off to the new kids, the Don Bluths, John Lasseters, Brad Birds. So it really had everybody involved in animation. Don Bluth left production halfway through, taking half of the animators from Disney, and Disney had to rehire, train, and train new animators. And so it took 3 years to make Fox and the Hound. It was their largest animated film budget at $10 million, but it also made, at the time, their highest box office for an animated film. So it all worked out.
So you could say that you essentially saved Disney, honestly.
Now, what had happened was they'd had some lower rated of the classic Disney films. I'd say Robin Hood, Fox and the Hound, Black Cauldron, Rescuers Down Under, kind of fall in a, yes, they're Disney movies, but are they really Pinocchio worthy? So, there's a love kind of hate relationship with those. It seems to cut off after Fox and the Hound. That's the last one included on the clamshell Black Diamond list. So Fox and the Hound is the last classically animated Disney film. And then you have like Black Cauldron and something Mermaid, Lion King. So the Renaissance was just 2 or 3 years away. I just love it's kind of in that middle ground. I did audition for Aladdin. I auditioned for Lion King.
Really?
Yeah. And a friend of mine, Christopher Daniel Barnes, got Prince Eric in Little Mermaid.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun going up for Hunchback of Notre Dame, and you're like, who else are they seeing? And they're like, Tony-winning actor Tom Hulce, and I'm like, oh great, Amadeus is going to book this. I think Robbie Benson got it. I'm not sure. No, who did get it? It was Tom Hulce, right?
I think Robbie Benson was Beauty and the Beast. Let me look.
You're right. Robbie Benson was Beauty and the Beast. And so, yeah, Fox and the Hound, huge honor to be a part of the Disney, animated films, and also have worked for Disney a couple of titimes. Did the Tales of the Apple Dumpling Gang series, which was called Gun Shy. My first job, actually, I was cut out of The Cat from Outer Space. I was skateboarding as a background extra in a scene that got cut out. So I thought I was going to be in Cat from Outer Space, and then the movie aired, and I'm like, oh, they cut the whole scene out. Oh, that's showbiz. Also did let's see, Touchstone was Adventures in Babysitting, Cheetah for Disney, Hollywood Pictures, also Disney did In the Army Now, and Spooner, a Disney Sunday movie of the week. So love Disney. Part of the reason I've kept my nose clean, because want to work for Disney for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's amazing. And I was going to say, how was that experience joining the Disney family? And you're also celebrating, I think it's the 40th anniversary of the Fox and the Hound. So congratulations for being a part of that.
Thank you very much. I can't really believe it's the 40th. It does
hurts
kind
a
of
little.
sneak up on you. Yeah, it hurts a little. Same with the viewers. They're like, no, it can't be. And I love that it still works. I watched a bit a while ago, when the anniversary hit, and I'm like, I know a lot of people cry when
I can't do it.
when Mama Tweed drops off the fox at the forest. I tend to really lose it at the very end when they're echoing the, we'll always be friends forever over there, how they're kind of separated now. And then the end title cards, and I'm just a baller. So I watched those parts, and they still work. Damn, definitely a good cry. The movie that parents would put on to punish you if you were bad. I will put on, if you don't pick up your room, I will put on Fox and the Hound again.
It's definitely true. I definitely blocked it out, I think. I can't rewatch it as an adult. I feel very traumatized, but I loved it.
Absolutely. Heavy duty. We've got Lost, Orphans, and, definitely undertones of classism, racism, and segregation and prejudice. I was It's also the original subject material murders Chief. He gets hit by the train and he dies. I think
Yikes.
the neighbor poisons Fox. I mean, it's bad. It gets, and then I love you kind of ship Widow Tweed and the hunter at the very end. She's like taken care of, and I'm like, all right, I'll ship them. That's fine. Um, it's a fun little, and it's clearly in 2 acts. It's kind of like a Tarantino-esque or Stanley Kubrick. You got the first act, and then you got the adult second act, which gets a little dark. But it's classic Disney. We kill the mother within the first 5 minutes. The Fox's mother gets murdered.
Wouldn't be Disney without a parent death.
You have to. And I think a lot of this stems from Disney had become a moderate success and had started a studio out here in basically Glendale, California. And there were studio built homes in the neighborhood, and they were maintained by the studio. They're, kind of like company homes. And he'd moved his family out and his parents. And there was a gas leak in the unit, and it killed his mother. And so I think this is why Bambi, other films have this kind of like, oh, Disney's going to kill the mom. Well, it was something that had happened to him, and he felt terribly guilty considering it was a company home. So yeah, we've traced the Freudian pop psychoanalysis has traced it back to this incident.
Speaking of Disney, we actually realized when we were rewatching Adventures in Babysitting that it's heavily edited and censored on Disney Plus, which is pretty rare for a streaming service. Did you know about these edits? And do you think there's a better solution for Disney other than censoring the films they have on their service?
Well, if they can find a good way to keep, because Disney Plus is, a kid could pick up the remote and watch Elephants or, Iron Man. And you see how scrubbed the Marvel movies are of blood or eviscerations or entrails or language. They'll even flirt with it. And Captain America, watch your mouth. Here, we pushed it in 87 with the MPAA. We should have gotten an R rating then. I actually tell people that I recommend their children watch Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead before they grow up a little bit to watch Adventures in Babysitting. Because of the language. We say 5 of the 7 words you could never say on television. We say them several times. I use homophobic language. It is so okay. So I understood there's a TV edit, and also there's different ratings overseas. We have 13, other countries have 14 or 16, etc. So I had heard that it had dropped. There were other contracts that had been licensed out to other streaming services when Disney Plus premiered. So it wasn't available at first in the United States. But there were people overseas that said, oh, no, Adventures of Babysitting is on and it's edited. And I went, okay, well, that's there. When it's here, it'll definitely not be edited. I'm very pro, very, against censorship, and I'm very pro air it. And I'm realizing I just don't think it's going to make it. I mean, they're going to have to put a separate category, like Netflix has like kids Netflix, and then adult
Right,
Netflix.
Yeah. Yes.
We've got a prostitute. We've got Sesame Plexer. We've got a Playboy magazine. This isn't going to look good next to Phineas and Ferb. You know what I mean? So it comes out, and people are like, it's censored, and I look and it says TV 13, and I went, well, we're PG 13, no TV something, and I went, ooh, it started and it said the content has been modified, so the running time is the same, visually it's the same film. What they did was they took the TV edits, and whereas on TV Thor is a weirdo, your parents are gonna die,
don't fool with the babysitter.
Don't fool with the Lords of Hell. And some of those were recorded as wild lines when we shot it. Some were recorded in a looping stage when we had to do dialogue replacement, and some are recorded by sound alikes because standards have changed and stuff like that. So came on, and I immediately, of course, fast speed search to all the known language incidents, and I'm like, oh god, oh yeah, definitely edited, but it's not cut. The movie isn't cut. It's only dubbed for language. And I'm like, well, this is the reason why Disney Channel original movie made Adventures in Babysitting their 100th Disney Channel original movie. The head of programming said, I love Adventures in Babysitting. I can't show it to my 8-year-old daughter. So we wanted the universe to live on and have a greater audience exposed to it. So now I feel parents can go, hey, you kind of like the, Sabrina Carpenter Adventures in Babysitting? Yeah, Mom, it was great. Well, let me watch the original. And I go, Mom, I don't want to watch 1-year-old movies. When it was made in like 19 something, that's like ancient. Is it in black and white? And they'll put on Adventures in Babysitting, of course, after Elizabeth Shue sings And Then He Kissed Me, the kids are hooked. And they hang in there and they're just drooling as they look at the TV. And they still feel a little danger. I think the language helped them feel it was a little more dangerous this night on the town, quote unquote. But still, I think the movie is effective. It shows the heart. It shows them growing up. It doesn't take away from the movie that the language has been stripped. So I embraced it. And I expected Twitter to, I posted a thing, a screenshot of me pointing to, it's on Disney Plus now. And out of, 40, 50 comments, maybe 2 mentioned, oh, hey, it's edited. But nobody went and said they're going to go burn Netflix down or anything. I mean, Disney Plus down because of it. So I think we're okay. Maybe in the future, Disney will acknowledge that they made movies like Blue Steel and Stakeout and Outrageous Fortune, and they will put the Touchstone films unedited. But as of now, the Touchstone films tend to have some language.
So can you tell us a bit about your working dynamic with Anthony Rapp?
I love Anthony. The working dynamic is go ahead, ask your question though first, because I love this question.
I'm glad I got you excited. You guys play off each other so well and you have great chemistry. Noel and I were dying at the faces he was making. So how'd you keep a straight face and what was it like working with Anthony Rapp?
Kept a straight face by, I think, staying in character and staying annoyed by Daryl. This was supposed to be this pretty deep friendship, and every kind of boy has that best friend, and sometimes they're circumstantial. They're a neighbor or the kid that sat next to you in second grade, and so boom, you're now your best friends. And so that could have been the situation. He kind of annoys him, and he's very violent, because I remember we were shooting outside and I hit Anthony on the arm for the 900th time in about a week and a half of filming, and he goes, could you stop hitting me so hard? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, it's in character. He goes, yeah, well, my arm's sore. Like, could you seriously stop hitting me? And I went, ooh, that really got to him. So I think I hit him harder next time. I'm not sure. I love getting under the skin of other actors and getting them to kind of get mad at me on screen. He tended to do that to Brad, though, which was interesting. Daryl kind of gets under people's skin. He came from a theater background and Broadway, and I grew up doing, Mattel commercials. So it was a different coming at it, approaching the material, building a character. I think we had different ways of doing it, but we both were on the same page for the relationship between Brad and Daryl.
Thanks for sharing that. I love Anthony Rapp. Obviously, most primarily I knew him from Rent, but I completely had forgotten that he was in this movie until I rewatched it, and I realized I believe it was his feature debut.
Yeah, he had done Far From Home, No Way Home, something with Drew Barrymore, either just after it or before. I think just after it might have been his second movie. Yeah, I think that was his debut, and mine as well. And I think Lisa had done Link in between Karate Kid and Adventures in Babysitting. Of course, me and Anthony had to go rent it immediately because there were rumors her boobs were in it. And we get back to the set and we're like, we saw Link, and she goes, that was the body double. And we're like, damn.
One of my favorite scenes is the big musical performance with the karaoke. Can you tell us about the energy in the room during that karaoke number? And do you have any go-to karaoke songs yourself?
Well, it was actually not karaoke. I mean, it was in the essence that as actors were lip syncing to, what we recorded on a Sunday. We went in on a Sunday and recorded it with Albert Collins and the Icebreakers. And then the very next day, they had a temporary track of what we just recorded the day before. And we shot the Babysitting Blues over 2 days, a Monday and a Tuesday, with 3 cameras, the band, the bad guys, and shot 13,000 feet of film. Most movies, when they're released, are about 11,000 feet of film. So we shot enough footage to shoot a whole movie. And I know Chris Columbus, the director, said, I forget which director he was quoting. He goes, "A movie has to have 3 great scenes and no bad ones." So his 3 great scenes were going to be Babysitting Blues, the L Train sequence, and I can't remember if it was hospital or frat house, or I can't remember what the third scene was, but I remember we maybe had 4. And so we knew that this was going to be a magic trick to pull it off. And it was all Lisa in recording it and lip syncing it to make it look like just coming off the top of the head. And of course, we had choreography, believe it or not. Monica Devereaux, who was Chris Columbus's wife, she's the redheaded prostitute down at the river. She was the choreographer for the opening dance sequence with Lisa and for our little shimmy shimmies, babies during the Babysitting Blues. And she's also the name of the street that you and your girls there are going to be dead meat as soon as we cross Devereaux Street. Here comes Jackson, and here comes Devereaux.
I was really interested to learn that Adventures in Babysitting was Chris Columbus's directorial debut. He's kind of like a dark horse director. I feel like he's responsible for so many amazing and classic films that people may not even realize. How is it like working with him?
He is a kid that knows the language of film very well and comes from not as much John Hughes. That happened after Adventures in Babysitting with Home Alone. But I'd really connected him to the Spielberg School because he'd written Goonies and Gremlins and Young Sherlock Holmes. And so I kind of attached him to that school of filmmaking. So as soon as we're on set, the cranes and the dolly zooms and the kind of Spielberg-esque way of shooting it, I was like, and the musical score and everything, using some legendary people behind the camera, behind the editing bay, doing the soundtrack. He was supported by seasoned veterans, and by the third hour, he was a seasoned veteran himself. Because he came in and he goes, "I want to do this and this," and the cameraman goes, "Yeah, I kind of want to do it this way, and I think we should also do this." And Chris goes, "Cool, you got it." And then he just left it up to the crew pretty much. He had storyboards, but he climbed onto the set with us and would ride in the truck or be in the back of the car. He'd be willing to walk the beam or whatever it was that we had to do. Chris would do it first, because you got me. I'm working as an adult, but I'm 17. Anthony is just 15. And Maya Bruton is, 10, 8, 9, 10. I forget how old she was, but very tiny. And couldn't work past midnight because the Twilight Zone trial was going on for John Landis. And Screen Actors Guild was very adamant, no minor shall work past midnight. So Chris was, and so we did 2 weeks of rehearsals. And I think this is key in grounding it, kind of fine-tuning the plot. We had a very different script when we first got the movie to what was on screen. A lot of changes in the third act and stuff. At one point, we had a toy box that looked like Sarah's toy box, but it had plutonium in it, and gangsters were chasing us across a bridge. And someone went, "Hey, Annie," the bad guys chase. Went, "Oh yeah, I've got to rewrite it." At one point, to get money for the station wagon, we go to Soldier Field and crash the locker rooms and steal the Bears jock straps. And then Daryl tries to sell them at the frat party to get the money. So a lot of things changed, kind of, that I guess the more ridiculous elements were smoothed out. And then all the interactions with the car thief, with the tow truck driver, those were rehearsed and ran and improvised and notes taken and lines added, changed, removed. By the time we shot it, these were little mini stage scenes that we'd already, kind of mapped out a beginning, a middle, and end for each scene. And we could shoot it in rough circumstances, in the, back being towed by a car, turning on your own sound and turning on the slate because they can't fit people in the car, and then doing the scene. And because we'd kind of done that rehearsal so much, we also did heavy rehearsal on toy soldiers because there was going to be a lot of technical and guns and explosives. So we wanted to make sure the acting was kind of done. We're not sitting here going, what does my character feel at this moment? Screw it. We already rehearsed this. So Adventures was very well prepared, incredibly prepared. We never slipped a day off of schedule and did 3 different cities in 3 months and shot it January, February, March, and it came out in July, April, May.
They were on the ball.
Yeah, so 4 months of post-production, and it was out.
Oh, that's really fast.
Yeah, editing.
I had one more question about Adventures in Babysitting, and then we can move on to the other one. What are your thoughts on the Disney Channel remake of Adventures in Babysitting? Did you get a chance to see it, and what did you think?
Yeah, absolutely loved it. I reached out when I heard it was being made. I'm like, I want to be in it. They're like, we're doing it in Canada. We're not flying you out. I'm like, damn. And then get through to the head of programming and say, hey, I want to support it because I see online people are talking crap. And he's like, come to the premiere. I'm like, let's go. They sent cars to the entire original cast of Adventures in Babysitting, and I was the only one that showed up. Very strange. So they're like, oh yeah, a bunch of the cast are going to be there. They vaporized. I don't know what happened. Maybe they're busy. So I showed up, didn't crash the red carpet, but definitely saw my opportunity with the new cast to jump in. They're like, who's this old man? Look, I was in the original. One of them was like, oh, that's my mom's favorite movie. I was just humiliated the entire night, but got to have that conversation with the head of programming who said how much he loved the original and wanted it shared. So they had cast members from all other 99 of the Disney Channel original movies filling up the theater. Huge hit. They handed out DVDs and soundtracks, and it premiered that night on Disney Plus. And so it was interesting. For a while, if you look up Adventures in Babysitting on Google, the new one would come up. That lasted about 6 months, and now the 87 one comes up. But both come up in searches. They had to redo the Blues Bar is now a rap battle. The bad guys are more caricature. They're more buffoonish rather than scary. There is no, we'll get to them after the meet. What are you going to run them over? Get the car. There's none of that sinister kind of. You're kind of not really scared of them. There's at one point 8 kids running around the city instead of our tight group of 4. So it's hard to really get to know all the kids. They tend to come more caricatures than characters. Those are my only gripes, but it's also for a different audience. This isn't for people coming of age. These are for people in single digits, for kids that, their wish fulfillment of a night in the town without their parents, their wishes are entirely different at 8, 9, and 10 than they are at 15, 16, and 17. So it's a different movie. I love it. Wasn't made for me, but I support it. And I know the parents can safely share it with the 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old. It's adventures in babysitting, not adventure in babysitting. And I think there can be many adventures. There can be ones where a boy babysits. There can be ones where the dad is forced to watch the kids and all heck goes, squirrely. There could be the oldest kid now is in charge. Whoop, that sounds familiar. Like a 1991 film. Don't tell me. Never mind.
Oh, pitch that. It'll be a new series coming to Disney Plus next year.
Yep. Adventures in Babysitting, the series, which they tried, starring Jennifer Guthrie, Courtney Peldon, Joey Lawrence, and Brian Austin Green. And they got held up at a 7-Eleven and were chased into the sewers and chased by an alligator. It aired at 3:00 in the morning on a Friday night, and nobody ever heard from it again. And it's available on YouTube.
Wow, I didn't even know that a series was ever even in talks.
Yeah.
Or
Look up Adventures in Babysitting TV pilot, and you will see. And what's great is the opening credits. I have to give it to them because they're using one of the classic blues songs, and I was like, oh, interesting opening credits. And then the piece itself is a typical sitcom of the 90s or late 80s. Mm-hmm. Hey, Josh, what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie?
Oh. Yep.
It's Scream, actually. That's my all-time favorite movie.
Interesting choice.
We're very different, I think.
And what's your favorite movie, Noelle?
Jurassic Park.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, I'm a fan of dinosaurs and Jeff Goldblum for sure.
Sure. I guess you put them together and you get my favorite movie, Jaws.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's up there, sure.
It's a terror, it's a thriller, it's got a bad, horror icon, and it's definitely pop culture. So, kind of a blend. And then probably Princess Bride, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Oh,
etc.,
Those are all great.
Back
yeah.
to the Future is not as high on the list as some of my friends. I'll ask my friends, they go, Back to the Future. Number one. I go, really? Okay. I mean, it's great, but I'm going to probably get completely torn apart on the internet for saying that.
I actually prefer Back to the Future Part 2 to Back to the Future 1, but I love them both. The third one is a little lesser tier, but they're both great.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Lesser
I'm sorry.
tier.
So you essentially get to play two characters as we see Kenny kind of evolve over the course of the film from Kenny to Kenneth. So where did you draw your inspiration from for his role?
That's interesting because I felt that I had inspiration certainly for the stoner element of Kenny. I'm working with Stephen Herrick, the director, and he had directed Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So right there we have Bill and Ted as a language I could talk to the director with. And then I also, of course, borrowed from Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And also I grew up in Malibu, coincidentally next door to one of the surfers that Sean Penn had used as a study for Spicoli. So I knew this guy that was like the real Spicoli. So a blend of that, a blend of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and then a lot of help from Stephen Herrick while we were doing it. More selfish, hunch lower, just more base, be more animalistic, I think, at times. It was super fun to play Kenny. I love the role because of the redemptive arc and him changing and growing by the end. And that was the part, the writer's point of the movie was every other movie that had the parents leave town, everything just falls to hell. And the kids get in big trouble. And one of them, they even shot him into space camp. So in this one, they go, what if the parents leave town and the kids get their act together? And so each character kind of grows up a bit. So for Kenny, finding something he loved, finding a direction and finding, a value in school and education, and, I got to do something. I love that. And I'm like, if that message is the message that gets out to people of like, no matter what, you can turn around and, and move on. And so Kenneth was very hard to do because part of Kenny was putting the wig on and looking in the mirror. And as soon as I looked in the mirror, dude, Kenny just kind of came out, you know what I mean? But without the wig, I'd go, where is he? I couldn't find him. It was gone. I was like, how do I keep some of the voice affectation and the mannerisms, but without the hair? I felt like Samson and his locks had been cut. So that was a challenge. I just love the little button he gets sitting over the pool, talking to his buddy. And it was a nice little moment. It's nice to play a supporting character that you get a whole kind of arc for.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask a question about whether or not that was a wig, because I wasn't 100% sure, but me and Noel were kind of going back and forth as to whether that was a wig. We couldn't tell. So I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It was pricey. They made two $3,000 a piece handmade wigs, so $6,000 into the wig budget, plus extra time. I had to come in earlier than Christina Applegate to get the wig applied, and it's so good. They shaved my hairline about a 1/4 inch so that they could make the wig be at where my hairline is for real. And if you zoom, the lace disappears when you put the adhesive on it. Like, it just disappears into the skin. And there are close-ups where if you look close, it looks like it is growing out of my head. It is like some of the best special effects makeup I've seen. And for this throwaway gag, really. Then they do, and so many people have assumed. And they go, did you cut your hair? Like, how long did it take to grow out? And I'm like, nah, we had an A and B wig. We had one that was perfect, and that was the main hero wig. But every 3 or 4 days, it would have to get cleaned because every time you remove it and put it back on, it would get kind of gunky. And then we'd use the B wig, the backup wig, and that one didn't fit as well and crinkles around my forehead. And there is a shot or two where you look and you can see a little bit of a crinkle where the wig lace is kind of pulling at me. And I think the overall shape was a little different. It just was too fresh. The wigs were kept by Warner Brothers Archive, and I went to go promote the film a year later when it came out. And I'm at AM Los Angeles, and the makeup artist is sitting there, and there's the wig sitting on a stand. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna put it on you for the spot." And I just couldn't believe they'd held onto it. It's probably been chopped up, dyed, repurposed, or something. But yeah, I had a definitely a big relationship with the wig.
I love that a big part of Kenny's character is he's kind of on his way to becoming the next Julia Child. How are your culinary skills in real life? Do you have any like go-to recipes?
Fantastic. Not immediately after the film, but from the inspiration that anyone can cook. And the internet's Julia Child doesn't hurt. You can cook. It starts with a pepper steak, and then you bake a damn potato, fry some eggs, and make your mac and cheese. But then to make like beautiful, spaghetti with mushrooms and fresh and asparagus, and then move into filet mignon and lobster. And I cook lasagna, ribs. I'm a master at ribs. So now I cook really good, hearty comfort food. Definitely comfort food cooker.
That sounds very good. It sounds actually better than what you guys were eating in the movie, which was than those gross extra crispy waffles. Were you forced to eat a lot of those on camera?
Now, I think the other actors had to taste them. My friends, buddies had to take bites of dried, burnt, cooked the night before waffle, because our department just stayed up all night making like undercooked ones, overcooked ones, half burnt ones. And then they get better. By the end, they're like beautiful golden brown and perfect. And on the side note, it was all real food in the movie. The clown dog was McDonald's, basically rewrapped in the clown dog wrappers. And we'd leave it hanging around in the kitchen. They're like, just throw it in the kitchen. Just trash. Just throw pizza slice, throw it in the kitchen. And we're shooting in order. We're kind of shooting in sequence. So right before we go to clean up our act, for the third act break, there's a scene or two in the kitchen, and it stinks. It's bad. It smells, and it's hot. We're in Valencia, 110 degrees outside. Can't run the air conditioning during takes. So on a long take, in the wig, the leather jacket, the kitchen reeks like just trash. Yeah, that was some method acting right there.
Oh, those scenes gave me anxiety. Like the kitchen scenes, the counter.
They were nasty. I'm so glad when it cleaned up. And the people that rented us the house for the movie, they went on a trip, and we took their beautiful house and destroyed it. They put this aging stuff on the paint outside and mucked up everything, and just trashed the inside, newspapers on the stairs and garbage everywhere. And then we take a break one weekend, come back, and the place is cleaned up. It's pretty amazing.
Well, it sounds like you guys had these fantastic experiences together. How was that experience kind of working with the cast?
Oh, real siblings, I think. Me and Christina as the older siblings, at first I want to have nothing to do with the family. You guys are on your own. She took a more motherly role and spent a lot of time with Christopher and Danielle and Robert Gorman, and went to the school and would play video games with them and hang out with them, and I just completely ignored them and go take naps. Hey, what's up, Ron? Hey, get out of here. I just love the Chuck E. Cheese scene. It just shows the disdain he has for his siblings. So, and I'm a semi-method actor, in that if I'm supposed to have a great relationship with someone, I will make paintings to have a great relationship with them off camera. And if it's antagonistic, then it's on. Let's do it. I worked with the principal from Breakfast Club, and he was exactly the same kind of jerk off camera that he was on camera. And I think it helped. It helped me hate him. And on camera, it was in the Spooner, the Robert Urich, a movie of the week I did. Every time I look at him, I'm like, oh, God, I hate that guy. And so I like to bring a little method into it. So I just ignored the heck out of the kids. And then later, as I start to spend time with them, I would spend more time with the kids. And I just love how they're all game at the end to play their roles. Hi, boss lady. Would you like a stuffed Creole mushroom? The kid, and the kids are all on point because they're all not just kids. They're not just casting kids because they're little droolers. They're casting kids because they are talented actors that how to turn a comic beat, how to set something up, and how a rhythm, the timing of comedy, and how to play it seriously. They do not let off if they know that this stuff is funny. Well, let's hack her head off. We got to get the tape measure, see if she'll fit in the trunk. I mean, we're dead serious when we're doing it, and that's, I think, the thing about dark comedy works. So as far as me and the rest of the kids, ultimate respect for all of them, especially Christina. She's clearly the head cheerleader on this boat. And she led by example. Just always be prepared, always be present, and just imagine sitting down in the theater during the summer and watching this with your soda and your popcorn. Have fun, let it rip. It was hard to make. Not a huge budget, sweaty, hot, lots of locations before we got to this house. Once we were in the house, we settled in for a good month and a half. It was a big surprise when Warner Brothers puts it up on their big billboard outside of the studio and plays the trailer to death. And I got real lucky because the dishes are done, man, is in the trailer. So people that didn't even see the movie saw the line. And I do sell dishes available at my website, KeithCooganOnline.com.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Autographed dishes are done, man. Autographed. Kenny, mailed out to you. I got a couple to put in the mail today.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking this up.
A friend of mine, my first autograph convention, and he walks up like hiding drugs. And he shows this little blue side plate. He goes, you think you could sign this? Is that okay? And I'm like, I can sign anything. And he goes, you should keep these at your table and like sign a bunch. And I was like, that's a great idea. I've sold dishes at every single autograph convention I've ever been at.
I was going to ask, do you have any plans to do conventions or once things get back to normal? Is that something you'd be interested in?
3 lined up. We've got Mahunting Drive-In August 12th, 13th. It'll be an Adventures of Babysitting and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead double feature 2 nights. We have got September will be the New Jersey Horror Con and Film Festival in Atlantic City. And also the Hollywood show in Los Angeles, California. I actually think it'll be in Burbank this year. So 3 lined up for next 2 months.
Josh, that HorrorCon sounds like it's right up your alley. We're going to have to go.
They have great
I'll
guests.
Look into that. Definitely.
Great guests, great merchants, great premieres. You meet filmmakers, all that stuff. Highly recommended. Good people behind it. Next to Monster Palooza, I just love New Jersey Horror Con and Film Festival.
One more question about Don't Tell Mom. So what was your favorite outfit in this film? The fashion was just so much fun to watch in every scene, and like those giant earrings that Christina, she has like a different giant earring in every scene. I was loving it.
So I want to say my delving into metal happened congruently or maybe post Don't Tell Mom, because I always kind of take a little bit of the character with me. So I didn't know what I was wearing on my shirt half the time. I didn't care. Wardrobe puts it out for you. What I do know is that later people are like, that's good. That's cool. You got Metallica. You got this on, whatever. I like Skid Row shirt. I don't know. Whatever shirts I had, people were all about it. They were like, good. And also that my room pretty much killed the babysitter. She walks in, takes one look at it, and has a heart attack. I don't remember I know the leather jacket was exceptionally hot with the wig up where we were filming during the summer. It's not fun to walk around with the leather jacket all the time, but big part of the character. The biggest part, though, and these I've already auctioned them off on eBay. The jeans he wears. They had several, mostly completely rotten and broken down, knees torn out, crotch half falling out. My ass and the pocket of the back pocket's like hanging through where it's slit. You can see them pretty good when I'm walking up the stairs. I'm wearing a particularly degraded version when I'm shooting the dishes off the roof. Those went for more than Russell Crowe's breastplate from Gladiator on eBay. And friends suggested cut them into 1-inch squares and auction a bunch of them off. And I said, I think a fan would rather have the entire pair than a bunch of fans having a little square. So there is a proud owner of Kenny's jeans here in California.
I was just going to say, is it true that the original title was The Real World and they had to kind of change it at the last minute?
Yes, and it was focused on Secret of My Success, working girl story of The Office. It was probably 3/4 of it was the office stuff and a little bit at home. And we started shooting, and immediately the studio notes were more family, balance it out. Let's do like 50-50 family story and office. So they trimmed a little bit of The Office before even shooting stuff. We just kind of trimmed to rework information into other scenes and then kind of padded up the kids stuff a bit. And we showed bits of everything we shot. Nothing was left on the editing floor. We shortened some scenes. And contrary to what IMDb says, I do not know of a single moment of filming that was delayed because of a rumor of Christopher Pettit's drug use. He may have, but I think he would do that in the morning, go surfing, and then come to set and he'd be fine. I never saw a problem with Chris. So those rumors are terrible and they really should be taken down. If you can show me a production report, because it's the only thing that matters. Anytime you waste a minute on set, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it goes in a production report. Delayed, actor had a costume problem. Delayed, rain, accident, something. So if someone can show me a production report that says Christopher Pettit delayed a minute of production, fine, let that stand on IMDb. But for now, I would ask that IMDb take that down because he's passed. He has no way to defend himself. And I don't like seeing that rumor up there because I was on the set every day and I just never saw that happen.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us and kind of setting the record straight about that. I'm happy you can get that out there.
Yeah.
But on that vein, how does it feel to kind of be a part of multiple films in this instance that still resonate so much with fans like decades later?
Incredibly lucky. Curtis Armstrong, Booger, of course, was at a book signing, and someone asked, what does it take to be a successful actor? And he said, luck, but there's 2 levels of luck. And he's like, please explain. And he goes, well, there's one layer of luck where you get a job. You get cast in a movie. You get to go make a movie. You get to meet great people and work with them and make a movie. The other level of luck is, are people talking about it 30 years from now? Do people love it? Do they own it at home? Are there fan clubs? He goes, that, for him, Revenge of the Nerds was something that, of course, you've got Risky Business. Of course, you've got other films that he did. But really, Revenge of the Nerds, what people remember him for is My Name is Booger, I think, is his biography. Call me Booger. And you have to embrace that. You can't say, oh, no, I won't sign that poster, or I don't like that role anymore. Or that's what got you where you are. You embrace it. You double down on it. You do YouTube videos on it. You have fun with it. You've got to own it, I think. So both The Real World, when they changed the title on us, kind of got us because we were seriously making a serious coming of age movie, a dark comedy. And when they halfway through filming said, MTV has this reality show coming out called The Real World, we don't want to confuse consumers. So we pulled 12-year-old boys. And the new name of your movie is Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. We died. We go, you're kidding. That's a joke, right? That's not going to work. Apparently, it was the only thing the dang thing could be called. I love that it exists. I love that people tell me that they are friends with people because first day on the job at an office and they hear from across the room, I'm right on top of that, Rose. And they're like, who is that? I need to find out who that person is, become friends with them right now. People tell me that they say the dishes are done, man, after they do their taxes, wash their car, drop their kids off at school, or actually do the dishes. I get pictures in my DMs of a rack of clean dishes. And they're like, dishes are done, man. Are the dishes done? Will the dishes ever be done? I'm like, God, I hope not, because I love it. I make dish towels, t-shirts, whatever. I absolutely love it. And, it's funny to really talk about Don't Tell Mom and how impactful to a certain generation it is. I got to work with a lot of great actors. I think Lloyd Bridges, Sean Young, Norman Alejandro, Ted Danson, and Joanna Cassidy. Joanna Cassidy, who is, not only Dolores in Roger Rabbit, but she's Zora in Blade Runner, for Christ's sakes. And she says, the quote that everyone comes up to me on is, I'm right on top of that, Rose. Thousands of people have done it. She goes, several times a day, way above all the other movies. So that it surprised her. It really did. And there's something about the way she did it. She's vulnerable in it. She's great in it. She's a great boss lady. Did you know? And this blew me away. We had a screening for Don't Tell Mom, and it's the Army Arm and Hammer building in Westwood. I'm like, what is this? They go, it's the UCLA Film Archive. They've included Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead in a feminism on film that also includes Working Girl and Norma Ray. I said, you're kidding me. They go, no, it's getting awarded recognition for pushing feminism. And I go,
oh my God.
Okay. You've got to be. They go, no. So we went, and with the writers, we did a Q&A at the at the Arm and Hammer theater. I was blown away, and they just like red carpet treatment for this. So I don't know. Its intentions were pure, but it's also a fun, silly movie.
I love her. I wish she was my boss.
Rose Lindsay's been promoted to the president of GAW, and now Sue Ellen is running GAW West, General Apparel West. Absolutely, with Kathy, her administrative assistant. And Bruce is still head inventory clerk.
So what's next for you? What are you working on now, and what would you love to get the chance to do next?
Oh, I'm editing something right now. Got the appearances coming up. Auditioning like crazy, which is really fun. It's changed a bit since the days of going into a casting office and auditioning. Everything's on tape. You film it, you send it in, and you pray. And good, great projects. Very excited about the stuff I'm up for. And did a web series during pandemic. I did a web series, The Quarantine Bunch, which is about former child star secret society that holds Zoom support group meetings, and you can kind of crash these. It's a bizarre comedy. We've got Wrong Reasons, which is a feature I made where I play a douchebag news anchor. And then, On Our Own, which is a series I went to Jersey and shot. And I play a lawyer, a divorce attorney in that. And I am trying to close in on a horror film right now that shoots in Utah, but clock is ticking. So I'm hoping I'd hear on something on that. So yeah, every day I never know what I'm going to be doing next week or next month. And it's always kind of the fun of being an actor. And I also look forward to Sony opening back up. A few years ago, I'd found my dream side hustle, my dream job, which is a tour guide at Sony Studios, formerly MGM Studios, which is where my grandfather had a contract under Louis B. Mayer. And so I get to show old stages that I have worked on, my grandfather's worked on, of course, tell the history of the lot and what's currently shooting. Best way to spend your day as an out-of-work actor. Or always looking for work actor. I don't know what to say. People say, oh, you had a great career. I'm like, hopefully I still have one. Still working on it. And I just constantly trying at it. One of the quotes in a bio was Keith Coogan still acts with pleasing regularity. I'm like, I'll take that. Okay. I would like it to be more high profile stuff. I still enjoy doing it no matter what the budget level. But sometimes it's always tough when people go, oh, do you still act? I'm like, oh, I wish, a couple of things were on, broadcast TV or bigger movies. So that question. But then people ask me, so does Elizabeth Shue still act? I'm like, she was on CSI for 6 years. Never mind. I can't talk to this person.
I know. Use IMDb. Look at him.
Rapp do anything? I'm like, he's West Coast. He's on SAG committee now, and never mind. I'm not talking to you anymore. So I don't take it personally. There's two ways people can ask it. Oh, do you still act? And oh, do you still act? It's you can quickly kind of figure out where someone's coming from on the question.
That a child star support group thing sounded really interesting. Actually, that sounded really interesting.
Well, it's based off of a true thing. There is a group on Facebook. It is ex-child actor secret society. Broadway, commercials, theater, movies, TV. If you made a living as a child working in the performing arts, we have a support group, and we'll talk and help each other out, listen to war stories, or pat each other on the back, or comfort each other in times of need. And we would have real parties, real world. Let's go over to Jenny Piccolo's house and party it up. And hey, what's up? Catch up, work on projects together. And the pandemic hit and we couldn't have our parties. So I had a big 50th birthday party and a bunch of former Child Star friends were there, plus a former junior high school friend of mine who's a producer. And we were like, we got to do something with everybody involved. It's got to be over Zoom. Everything kind of clicked. Well, let's do our meetings, but do them over Zoom. They're anti-comedy. They kind of, I don't know if you saw Too Many Cooks, the promo for Comedy Central. That was like a 23-minute opening credit sequence that got darker and darker as it went. But if you do give Quarantine Bunch a shot, episodes 4, 5, and 6 are very different than episodes 1, 2, and 3. It's a gradual, slow bleed into insanity, I think, and I love it. So that is also at thequarantinebunch.com. And also just go to YouTube and look up The Quarantine Bunch.
Well, I think the dishes may be done, but I don't think your career is. I think there's plenty of opportunities for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and if I go to California, I definitely want to do those tours. Those studio tours are something I've always wanted to do. So
Same. I've never been to California, and I've always wanted to go on those tours.
They're
Those
fun.
just sound awesome.
Studio tours, they're all different. One's a tram tour, one's a walking tour. You know, one is like, hey, make a movie. With one, they'll put you to work carrying stuff. There's also tours where you go to Hollywood Boulevard and buses are like, let's tour the homes of the stars. They're all crap except one. So, because they'll lie. They'll see, Lawrence. I mean, they'll be like, Jennifer Lawrence filmed this year. And I'm like, that's my friend Tony Lawrence, no relation. They will lie. And if someone at one point leased the place for 2 months, they will say that's their house. So, but the one thing you can guarantee, and it's a very good tour, is the Graveline Tour. This goes and looks at every suicide, death, murder, slaughter, tragedy in Hollywood. What's great is we know these are the addresses because there's a police report. So that is the best tour in Hollywood, especially if you like scandal, the Graveline tours, graveyard tours.
Well, this isn't really a question, but I just kind of wanted to say, like, rewatching your movies kind of reminded me how much my dad loved them, and he was always quoting them and watching them, and he also really loved Spooner and Toy Soldiers. Because the technology wasn't really there at the time, these movies weren't readily available, so me and my brother hunted for a copy of Spooner for like years to surprise him, and I finally got someone on the internet at the time to send me like a recorded VHS copy, and he was so happy. So, just thank you.
I have been dropping Spooner thinking nobody's heard of it, and you had gotten a VHS copy for your dad. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt and be like, oh, I want to talk about this.
No, that's the sweetest thing ever. I love it. Was your dad a forger? Just kidding. In it, Robert Urich is a convict that got out of prison for forging, and he forges his way into a job as a wrestling coach at a school. And so that's why I asked. But I love that he loved that. That's amazing.
Yeah, they kind of looked like twins, so it was like this weird like family joke. They looked exactly alike.
Dad?
Yes.
That's so great. He was talk about smooth and cool and suave and no difference from his energy on screen and off. Bob Urich is Bob Urich. It's amazing. Uh-huh. He was a legend, definitely. Wow, that's amazing. Go ahead, Toy Soldiers. Go out and get your new copy. There's a Blu-ray out. It is Toy Soldiers in December. It's basically a Will Wheaton double feature. And it is a new Blu-ray just released last month.
I'll have to get that. I've never seen Toy Soldiers actually, but I when we were looking through, we looked through your filmography a little bit, and when I saw that, there's a lot of people in it, and I was like, I've never seen this, but it seems interesting. And same with Spooner, I haven't seen that, but I will definitely check it out.
Toy Soldiers is a hoot. I think you'll love it. It is a hard R 90s action movie.
So I just have one final little thing to say from a fan who wanted me to make sure to tell you that she loves you and she thinks your eyes are dreamy. So that's from Sheila. I'm going to call her out and tell you.
That's my wife. Is that my wife? My wife is like, your eyes are dreamy. Well, Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us. Really appreciate it. And it was fun.
You guys are awesome. Thank you. Great questions. Really appreciate it. And thanks for letting me talk about the new stuff too. And you guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you. I think you're awesome too.
The feeling is mutual.
Yes.
Be safe out there. Stay safe. Yeah, man. See you on cable. Get rock and roll. And I guess there's only one thing left to say. Dishes are done, man.
We're using that.
Using it.
Thank you again so much to Keith Coogan for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please consider following Keith. You can find him on all social media at Keith Coogan. And I know he mentioned this briefly, but if you check out keithcooganonline.com, you can actually get your own autographed dishes are done. You can get a dish ornament or an actual dish. And I want one. I'm definitely ordering one.
I'm definitely ordering that ornament for sure because I need that on my tree. That's just iconic. And I use the word iconic. Whoops.
Yeah, you can get autographed posters, headshots. I wonder if he's on Cameo.
Yeah, I'm just really glad we were able to make this happen, and it was such a pleasure speaking with him. I feel like he had a lot of really interesting insights into some things that we had questions about. On that note, thank you guys so much for joining us this week. I really loved having Keith on as a guest, and we look forward to having some special guests in the future. There's a lot of different people that we could choose from, so
We love you, Keith.
we love you.
Thank you again to Keith Coogan for joining us. Our conversation was just so much fun that we couldn't fit it all into one episode. So be sure to head over to our website, popcitylife.com, for the full transcript and full audio of our entire conversation with Keith. Thanks for listening.